Hello students, today in geography we'll be looking at map reading, but under this topic we'll be looking at measurements of map distances. Distance on a map is an interval between 2 points on a map. It can either be straight or curved. Measurement of straight distance. How to measure straight distance. Straight line measurements can either be air routes, railways, roads, etc. Now, to determine the straight line distance between 2 points, one would possibly need to draw a line between those 2 points on a map and then measure the length of that line. Relate the distance measured on the map to the scale given to guess the ground distance. We'll look at how to do this calculation as we continue on this topic. Let's look at measuring curved distance. Curved distance can be found on road, rivers, footpaths, railway lines. Now let's look at how to get or measure curved distance. Place one end of the divider at the starting point of the curved line on the map. Align the other end of the dividers with the curved path, following its twists and turns. Once you reach the end of the curved line, without changing the setting, place the divider on the map scale to measure the distance. This method allows you to measure the distance along the curved line on the map, taking into account its twists and turns, rather than measuring in a straight line. Instead of using the straight line method, you can use a set of dividers to measure the curved lines. The set of dividers, you don't have to widen the dividers too much. Widen it a little, because the little the distance the point from one end of the divider to the other point, the more accurate your result will be. Now let's take an example. If 1 inch is equal to 1 mile, then 1/4 inch is equal to 1/4 mile. Now set dividers to 1/4 inch, and if walk around curve is 20 steps, then this distance is 20/4 equals 5 miles. That's if from the map scale. If your map scale says that 1 mile is equal to 1/4 inch, if 1 mile is equal to 1/4 inch, then when you set your dividers, make sure that the point between one point end of your divider to the other end is 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. Then use that distance, now that measurement, to measure the number of times to measure the number of times you move your divider from one end of the curved line to the end of the other curved line. If your walk around curve is equal to 20 steps, then the distance is equal to 20/4, which gives you 5 miles. The smaller the controllable increments, the more accurate the total distance. Unraveling the concept of map scale. A map scale is the bridge between the size of a feature on the map and its actual size in the real world. Imagine trying to fit an entire city on a single page. It's impossible, right? To depict every building, street, and park in its true size, that is where scale is coming. It is not possible to put in on a page the topography of an area, every feature that appeared on that area. It's not possible to put it on a piece of paper. So this is where the concept of scale comes in. This is where you need scale to be able to put in everything. You need scale to be able to measure and to be able to put in every feature of that topographical area on a piece of paper. Typically, scales are represented as ratios. A common scale might read something like 1 to 10,000. But what does this mean? Simply put, for every single unit you measure on the map, it represents 10,000 of those same units in reality. So if you are measuring in centimeters, 1 cm of the map will equate 10,000 cm or 100 meters in the real world. Now let's look at how to make some calculations on the map. Conversion of map distance to actual ground distance. Question number 1 says, if the distance between 2 points is 20 km, calculate the ground distance in statement scale 4 cm to 1 km, or 1:2 20 25,000 in real fraction. Solution. Distance between the two towns is 20 km. 4 cm to 1 km. 1 km is equal to 1 km when you convert to cm is equal to 100,000 cm. So 100,000 over 4 will give you 25,000. The actual ground distance is equal to 20 km, which is the distance between the two towns, over 100,000, which is equal to 1 km, times 25,000, which is 25,000 which we got from here. That will give us 5 km. Let's take another example. Conversion of map distance to actual ground distance. Question number 2. If the map distance is 12 cm and the scale distance is 2 cm to 1 km, or 1 is to 50,000 in real fraction, calculate the actual ground distance using both scales. Solution. 2 cm to 1 km or 1 cm to 0.5 km. This is a statement scale. Or you can also say 2 cm to 1 km is equal 100,000, that's 1 km in cm, over 2, which will give us 50,000 km. Now the actual distance is equal to 12 cm, which is the scale distance or the ground distance, over 100,000 times 50,000, and that will give us 6 km. Let's take another example. This example is some conversion of actual ground distance to map distance. In the previous examples, we are converting map distance to ground distance. For now, we're converting actual ground distance to map distance. If the ground distance between two towns is 30 km and the scale of the map is 1 cm to 2 km, or 1 is to 200,000 cm, calculate the map distance. Solution. 1 cm to 2 km or 1 is to 200,000 cm. Ground distance is 30 km. Actual map distance will now be 30 over 200,000 times 100,000, and that will give us 15 km. This is where we'll be drawing the curtain today on this lesson. Let's go over to the assessment section. Question number 1. The distance on the map can either be dash or dash. Question number 2. State 2 places where curve distance can occur. Drop your answer at the comment section. That will be all for today. Thank you for watching and join us in our next demo.